Hi, everyone. Welcome to Envision's Inside the Brand Experience podcast, where we discuss trends and approaches that cut through the noise and allow brands to own every moment with their customers. I'm Laliv Hadar, SVP of Marketing for Envision, and your host for today's episode. One of the biggest shifts we're seeing is a renewed focus on in-person, or IRL, experiences, those moments that can't be replicated on a digital screen. At Envision, we see that happening firsthand as brands look for more meaningful human ways to connect with their audiences. There's real momentum happening right now in this space, especially in the B2B world. Recent research shows that more than half of event organizers expect their budgets to grow, and 2/3 plan to host more events this and next year. A recent study by Bizzabo, an event marketer, found that 80% of organizations see in-person conferences and summits as critical to their success, and nearly half as many say that these gatherings are the most impactful marketing channel. So the appetite for face-to-face connection isn't just anecdotal, it's measurable. Brands are putting more dollars and intention behind creating real-world brand experiences that drive connection and community. A brand doing some incredible work in this space is Eventbrite. And today, I'm super excited to be joined by Eventbrite's head of brand, Jessie Young, to explore how real-world connection is shaping the future of brand community. Together, we unpack how Eventbrite's team designs in-person experiences that foster brand trust and genuine community by putting people, not platforms, at the center of every touch point. Welcome to the podcast, Jessie.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Great. So let's dive right in. Clearly, there's a renewed energy around gathering in real life, not just because we can, right, but because it works. I'd love to start there. From your vantage point at Eventbrite, what's really fueling this IRL resurgence? And how are creators and brands rethinking the way that they are bringing people together?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a massive cultural shift happening right now in the world. Social media usage has what Adweek has called peaked. So based on an article that I read in Adweek a couple weeks ago, Gen Z is reportedly cutting back dramatically on their social media usage. They are overwhelmed with doom scrolling, AI slop. And I think this world, this very polished world of having parasocial relationships and your niche communities online, we are now, humans are like, wait a second, I am now craving the IRL connection. I have totally missed out. I'm feeling lonely. There's a loneliness epidemic. I am comparing myself to people online. I'm feeling unhappy about my online usage. And so I want to get back to I want to take my like communities that I found online and bring them out into the real world and have real human connection. And so that massive cultural shift is happening. It's underway. The return to analog. If you look at what Gen Z is doing right now, they're very into um, into phones again with wires. People are looking for like raves have gone up dramatically. Like we have a ton of data at Eventbrite about all the statistics of like certain event categories, like partying is going up and people want to get back together again. I think in terms of what does that mean for brands and the B2B space, like we've actually been seeing this shift since we launched a trends report earlier this year that found 63% of event organizers believe that consumers are looking for more intimate gatherings. And they're seeing a shift of like, let's get people together from like, let's get people together because we have to let's design gatherings that truly matter. And so organizers and brands are really embracing this idea that the event itself is not the end goal. It's the community that it builds. And so the lasting connections that those live experiences creates, that's where the value is. And that means more like local activations, more centered, human-centered design, more focus on the moment rather than just the platform. And so to answer your question, like, yes, there's a huge IRL renaissance happening right now. And it makes me so excited for humanity because I think for mental health, for community health, for everything, it's like only positive can come out of this massive movement.
Yeah, hear, hear. I love
Yeah.
that. And as someone with two, teenagers slash young adults, like that stat you shared about social media and also how they're wanting those analog experiences is really great. I've heard recently about like gatherings around that age group where they self-impose like putting your phone away rules as you walk in the door, and so you're forced to just kind of hang out with everyone. But they self-impose it. It's not like parents are telling them. So anyway, I thought that was really great.
There's a huge trend happening right now in raves that we just did a social post on. A lot of our event organizers are saying no phones allowed.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
is a massive movement, which is so fascinating because
Yeah.
look back 5, 6 years ago, the whole reason you went to something was to take photos to put it on social media.
Right.
And now it's nope, no social media allowed, like real, authentic, raw connection. And it's like that is so fascinating to me. I'm so excited for it personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah. And everything that you said too, where the intention is at the end of the day, it's about building community, right? It's not just attendance, it's about actual connection. That really leads us into the idea of community. And I'd like to unpack that a bit. How do you and Eventbrite define community today, and what does it actually mean to design for community?
There's an interesting movement happening across culture, like I just I've been referencing, but community to folks can be interpreted in many different ways. And so I like to break it down, moving beyond like an audience or a group of attendees to like something a little bit richer of like shared identity and a sense of belonging. And it's a network of relationships beyond the moment of the gathering. And so designing community means like thinking about each touch point before, during, long after the event that contributes to that feeling of belonging. And so I break it down into a few different ways. One is like shared purpose and shared space. So community forms when people feel aligned around something, and have a place where they can come together. And it's like designing that community means giving that space, curating the purpose, and not just hosting a one-off event. The other is like connection over attendance. So it's no longer about like filling seats, but what was their experience when they were there with you? It's like the more intentional gatherings we see are designed with connection as the goal. So opportunities to meet and interact, share and collaborate. So we saw some data from again, our trends report from earlier in this year that 37% of event attendees believe an event becomes meaningful when it gives the opportunity to connect with other attendees on a deeper level.
Hmm.
And so um, people are a little rusty on in some ways of like going out and socializing and meeting new people. And so I would encourage organizers or brands or whoever's thinking about bringing people together is to give them the opportunity to meet other people, give spaces for it. When
Hmm.
we did a cheese rave earlier this year, which had about 500, 600 people attending, and like I found the most um, exciting place. We had like cheesemongers doing cheese tastings. We had 9 DJs. We had a disco cheese ball that was dripping, and it was like so exciting. But I would say like the most exciting place within the entire cheese rave night was at the mac and cheese truck late at night. You could go outside, you could still hear the music. And I was out there with a bunch of people I've never met before. And there was this like natural, authentic place with food, music, and like people just to connect. And like that was the most memorable part of the entire night for me. And I think a lot of people, it was like giving the event or the experience a place for people to connect and create community is like one of the things I think we overlook when we're designing events. And so that was like really exciting. And it didn't feel forced. It felt really natural and authentic and low key. There was no forced icebreakers or name tags. It was like we all had a shared experience and we were all had a moment to actually like come around that space and talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And it sounds like a shared like passion, affinity for cheese in this case, like brought
Yeah.
everybody together. But like that
Yeah.
is enough to do it, right? Like when you
Yeah.
have that,
Yeah.
those favorite items or what have you that everybody's, passionate about together, that's like, these cultural moments define culture a little differently than what you think about when you think about culture. But I think culture has lenses through different passions, basically, and interests, right? And
Yeah, and I think it was so unscripted in that moment that it felt natural to like talk to people. And we were in this weird cheese rave and like, how crazy is this? But we're having so much fun and like really let everyone's guard down. So that's just like something else I like to encourage, which is like giving spaces for people to connect that don't overlook that. I would
yeah,
say like local and accessible. So community thrives where people can get to the live experience. Um,
yeah.
and local culture is part of the equation. So again, using a personal example is here in Marin, there is a mom and dad at my kids' elementary school who has started these called It's a Vibe raves. And they use a local Eventbrite organizer in town, it's a bar. And I think they said when they first started doing their like raves, like maybe like, I don't know, 10 of their friends would come. Now it sells out every single time they do something. And now it's like the space for like, you know, elder millennials who have young kids who probably raved in the 90s or like early 2000s to go back and relive their childhood. And so it's got like this bit of nostalgia. It's got like, but it's only in this community do people understand it and like are activated in it. I don't know if the town next door is very interested. So
Yeah.
like something about the local culture, like and building that and getting people to rally around it is really fascinating and really interesting to me. Um, and then the fourth thing I think about is like longevity and advocacy. So designing for community means thinking beyond just the one event. It's how do you turn attendees into advocates, repeat participants, community members, and that is built when people feel like they belong, and they can connect and they feel valued. And so that was kind of like my cheese rave example. It's like more of that will make people want to keep going out and keep doing more. And then human-centered design is huge for us at Eventbrite. So it's designing with humans, not personas or data points, but like really inclusive, accessible, emotionally resonant. And that's we're factoring diversity, local context, personal storytelling, serendipity, and making sure that everyone's having a great time.
Awesome. Wow, that's great stuff. Um, and so I think you mentioned, well, you mentioned localism. So can we maybe double click on that a little bit more in terms of how is that, down to like the city level? Is it specific venues? Is it specific music scenes? How do you see sort of brand experiences that you guys facilitate through the Eventbrite platform most sort of these days in terms of the trends? How do you see those coming together, or like around some of those criteria, for instance, or lenses, if you will?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a range, and what it comes down to is do you feel like you belong in that community?
Yeah.
So my favorite band came into town, even though they don't live here, I would be with my like-minded fans and we would be so excited and you'd look over and we're all singing the same lyrics. Like that's gonna feel like community, um, and like a great connection. Whereas the reference I gave earlier is like the local raves that only happens in our area, also is like this one thing that only belongs to us. And again, outsiders probably wouldn't understand the whole thing, but you feel like you belong and we feel like we're all part of the same community. So I think it's the locality of it is like understanding your culture. So again, the band reference, like that is for that can travel. But then there are
Hmm.
circumstances where when I'm looking at my marketing campaigns and looking at how to appeal to people in different geos, the way, if it's so funny, if you look at the inventory that's in Seattle versus Miami is completely different for very obvious reasons. And so you don't take a Miami model and you bring it to Seattle and hope people it's going to connect with them. It's just a different culture, different vibes. People want to do different things. So
Mhm.
that's just something else to like keep into consideration is and people love when you like shout out their local area. We did the NEVA, we sponsored the NEVA convention this year, which is all about independent music. And it was in Wisconsin. And we did a whole Spotify playlist on all local amazing musicians in that area. And it meant so much to the local folks that we had done that. And they talked about it a lot. And then we did like fun, because cheese, again, cheese. Honestly, it was just a coincidence, but cheese again,
Love
because of
it.
Wisconsin. And
Yep.
we talked all about local cheese. We had it like at our events, and people were like, thank you for like thinking about our local culture here. Like that meant a lot to us, and it resonates and it connects more. When we went to Austin city limits, or if we do anything down in like Texas, like you definitely like lean into like the culture of Austin, you know? So it means more to people. It helps them feel like they belong, and it helps them feel like they can connect with you more.
Mm, I love that. Um, And we talked a lot about sort of the IRL experience. I think one of the things that I'm curious about and that, Eventbrite does really well is also bridge to the digital, right? You do your sign up, the event promotion, like the platform is very rich in engaging in that aspect. And I'm wondering how does that play into, or just in general, how do you think about the digital connection points even after a face-to-face gathering or experience, for instance? How do you think about kind of blending that sort of hybrid world of in real life, but also the digital touch points that may come before or after an event?
Yeah, the reality is search the Googles and the LLMs of the world is where people start their search for looking for things to do or signing up. Um, who carries cash anymore? I mean, I rarely have cash on me. And so QR codes so you have to like play into like, okay, this is what's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
What helps people discover you. They're looking for you on social media, they're looking for you on Google, they're looking for things to do on AI chat, LLMs. So
Yeah.
you have to be there to help them find you. They buy their tickets. But essentially it's then let's leave that at the door, right? Like how can you and then really truly experience the IRL component of it. Afterwards, Eventbrite doesn't do a ton of communicating to people after the event. It's more about how can we help you find your next event.
Mm.
But I think a lot of people, if they have a really good time, they will go on their socials and talk about it. And that is where it's really great because it helps um, amplify your story and spread it. And when people are talking about it, that means that you've got something right going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great. And so it sounds like that's more left to the sort of the brand, the planners or organizers to sort
Yeah.
of track that, but you do see that as like a key uh, metric or something that you would encourage the organizers to do is to look at that, right? The amplify.
Yeah, we love it when um, fans start to follow our organizers on our platform.
Mm,
That way, it's like that way, then they can go to the next event that organizer has. So it's great to encourage engagement with them and connection with the organizer, so that they can keep experiencing that joy over and over again.
wonderful. So let's switch gears and look ahead to the future. I'd love to hear what excites you the most about where community first experience design is headed, and maybe some tips for brands for how they should stay human to human in a very tech-driven world.
Yeah, I really do truly believe we are at the start of an IRL renaissance. After many, I would say, 15 years of social media being the center of culture and everything that's going on. And what we call it social, but it really isn't that social.
Yeah.
We're really moving to like more of a social connection IRL culture. And so what excites me is the convergence of like authentic human connection and then smart use of technology. No one is saying it's either
Mhm.
or. And
Yeah.
so authentic human connection coupled with smart use of technology is like unlocking experiences we simply couldn't design before. So I'll just go back to the cheese rave really quickly. The reason why we chose cheese and rave is that Eventbrite data showed us that in New York City, those types of events were skyrocketing. And we thought, why not like take two things that people love and just mash them together in the most random way? And so I think that you're going to start to see a couple things. One is like hyper local and hyper personal experiences. So instead of one global like mega event, I think you're going to see more micro moments, local chapters, regional specific experiences that feel more intimate, purposeful, and like custom tailored. So random, but like the romantasy book talk movement, there are a lot of IRL chances to meet now through really great events. And it's like, oh my God, I can take this like huge micro passion of mine and go meet like-minded people. Another is purpose-driven communities. So consumers, people are increasingly seek meaning, and brands that can like build experiences that shape purpose and values and identity are just absolutely going to win in the future. So our research has actually shown that almost 80% of attendees would pay more for experiences that are meaningful or transformative. And then seamless physical and digital integration. So like I mentioned, tech is not replacing IRL, but it's empowering it. So digital discovery, live stream, satellites, interactive hybrid modes, community apps will all be part of the experience, just not add-ons,
Mm.
or not just add-ons. And then I would say like human first tech, we can't ignore. So things like AI, data insights, personalization will become table stakes. And what matters is how they enable humanity. So how do they connect people, not replace them, is like going to be one of the most important things. So can you use AI to help the romantasy book top girly find her local community? Great. Like IRL, that's a
Mhm.
great way of using human first technology. And then advocacy and like community like economies. So in my opinion, the future belongs to brands who don't just host events but build movements. And it's not just about getting the cute social media picture in front of your brand. It's actually like um, it's actually building the movement and brand loyalty, brand love. People who return over and over again, refer their friends, create local impact, like that is going to it's going to increase your LTVs, and not just like one-off impressions. It's much more authentic. So those are like the key categories of how I see like the future of IRL shifting.
Love it. Love it. Um, I guess one other thought or question for you is, um, does the notion of, I think we saw this in recent years, but having some sort of a mission, right? Some sort of a give back element, does that continue to be part of what fuels some of the organizing that you're seeing kind of at that high macro level on the platform and that you guys power?
I think so. I think especially with the younger generations, it's table stakes at
Mm,
this stage. And you can really only, if you really are about human connection, authentically, that seems like a given that you're going to have to be in that space.
yeah, yeah. Well, thank you, Jessie. This has been great. I have really enjoyed the conversation and learning more about how you guys are thinking about this exciting space and how brands and then audiences are gathering and what are these key elements that are sort of bringing them together. And I love your IRL Renaissance. That's great. I think you're so spot on. I think it's great for humanity. It's good for so many things. So Really loved your insights today.
Thank you so much. I I really truly believe, I think we all deeply are like ready for this, as like a species.
Yeah.
We're all ready for this.
We're
So
ready. Yeah.
we all need this. So
Absolutely.
I'm, as a mom as well, I am very excited that
Yeah.
my kids might have skipped out on yeah,
Yeah.
stuff.
Ab-
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It's been so lovely.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And for our listeners, thank you for tuning in and tune in soon for the next episode of Inside the Brand Experience.